season just as 12 one-game seasons, or do you break it into quarters, non-conference, and then?
Well, you know, I think we're in a position right now, I would say it's always the same way, but we're in a position right now where, you know, it's a game at a time, it's a day at a time. And, you know, the old adage of trying to get better, and that's, you know, the way we view it. You know, we're just not in a position right now where we can get too strategic about, you know, what's going to happen down the road, and what the second half of the season, or the third quarter of the season is going to look like. We're just trying to piece things together, you know, day by day.
How would you evaluate Carson's play after looking at film?
Inconsistent. I think you know, he made some areas of improvement that you know, he got his completion percentage up a little bit, which is you know, is a positive step. But you know, still had some things that he's trying to make some improvement on. He's a bright young guy, and I think he works hard to try to improve those aspects of his game, which he's, you know, having some difficulty with, and hopefully will continue to make improvement.
A couple of guys said he looked more comfortable last game. Did you see that out of him?
Well, I don't know that he's uncomfortable out there. I think, you know, he's gaining experience, and I guess that's what you would equate that to. The more snaps here on the field, the more games you play, etc. You know, there are things that come to you. As they say, the game slows down, and you've heard that terminology, you know, frequently. And games move awfully fast for a quarterback, for everybody, but certainly for a quarterback. And to be able to process things in a timely fashion is not an easy thing for a quarterback. And the more experience you have at doing it, the perhaps a little bit easier it becomes to do so, and maybe that's what somebody else is seeing.
Is Colin still working with the quarterbacks at practice, or have you moved him over?
Just on occasion. Yes, he does, but you know, infrequently. He spends a lot more of his time as a wide receiver.
When a quarterback has some physical limitations and foot speed and arm strength, does it magnify his need to do those little things right?
Well, I think, you know, it's kind of like any position, Fitz. You got to play to your strengths, so to speak. So, you know, whatever those happen to be at that position or any other position, that's, you know, you've got to be able to try to put yourself in a position from a coaching standpoint as well as a player standpoint to utilize, you know, whatever those skills might be. And, you know, we talk about, you know, circumventing the, you know, whatever our weak areas happen to be, and by and large you do, but there are certain things that are kind of ingrained in the position that you have to do it, and if you have, you know, if that happens to be a weakness, and you know, we still have to work at trying to improve that weakness, which is what we're doing now. Can we make a guy run faster? Not at this time of the year, no. And can you make him more elusive at this time of the year? Part of that is not just, you know, niftiness as much as, I mean, that's a major part of it, but, you know, some of it is just the experience of doing it and a little bit of knowledge about, you know, putting yourself in the right position, you know, to create, I guess, in some cases, like on flushes, scrambles, you know, better opportunities to advance the ball either by throwing it or by running it. But you know, again, yes, there are limitations, and you know, how do you circumvent those? You try to stay away from them as much as you can. You can't do it all the time, no. Or at least we haven't.
You've had many drives, Bill, that have gone in opponent territory, but as you know, once you get in that opponent territory, so many times on the very next play, in fact, it'll be either a negative play or a turnover. How much of that can become a mental issue with your offense?
Well, you know, I would hope it would not, but you know, who knows? you rightfully so, as you indicated, the first 4 possessions of the ball game, the offense advances the ball beyond the 50-yard line, so they're in not necessarily always 4-down territory, but they're in the other end of the field, so they're in a positive segment of the field, and came away, as you know, with 0 points. And you know, we had 9 lost yardage plays in the ball game, and some of them you address. 6 of them are sacks, and there's 2 elements there. You know, one is, you know, it's easy to say execution, execution, execution. Don't make the mistakes. Be assignment correct. Don't miss assignments that let somebody come free. And part of it is just the physical nature of being able, you know, a lot of football is one-on-one, and you know, sometimes their one's better than our one. But you know, part of it also is not putting ourselves in a position. We've got to make sure we do the best we can, you know, as coaches, to put our players again in the best position not to create those lost yardage plays, because they were major in the course of the ball game. I will say that, you know, from an offensive standpoint, I thought there was improvement. You know, you look at the very first drive of the ball game, 10-play drive, crosses the 50, gets in field position. That's, you know, that was major against a pretty good defensive football team. Come back and open the second half with a 14-play, 80-yard drive for the only score that they got. But by the same token, I think that, you know, they came out of the locker room and advanced the ball well, and that's something that we hadn't done consistently. We hadn't done it in the first quarter, and we really hadn't done it in the third quarter on initial drive. So that was a positive. I thought our offensive line, you know, really held their own. A good, even though the numbers don't always indicate that, but for, you know, 3.5 quarters, you know, I thought our offensive line did a commendable job against, you know, a very dominant defensive interior line. I mean, those are extremely good players. So I was proud of our offensive line in that respect. And you go back and look, you know, you take those. You know, we kind of exposed ourselves in the fourth quarter. But you have to remember, I mean, it's it's a 1-score game with 6.5 minutes to go in the ball game, and we're in a position. It's a 1-touchdown game, 6 something to go on the clock, and we've got the ball. You know, advancing. You might remember play. We got it. We did one of those things that you just mentioned. Got ourselves in a bind on first down, and then we had a third down play, which we really had a great, it's one of those what if, but we had a mental error that caused us an opportunity not to be able to advance the ball on a play that was was out the gate really. And would have put the ball, wouldn't have scored on it, would have put the ball well into scoring position. Whether we scored or not is another story, but then we end up having to turn the ball over on downs, and they go the distance. Now this was when we had a chance to go in and either tie or go ahead, and then they come back and go the distance, and they have a long touchdown pass in which we have another mental mistake. It's just it's not an error in judgment. It's just an assignment, mental bust. So you have 2 of those back to back that create